Hey guys, this is Miri and I just want to show you guys what I draw. My Sonic Mira. She's a 13-year-old butterfly from Silver's world and she has healing powers, fertilizing powers, that she uses them to help as many people as she can. She has graphene wings, a special material that's thinner than paper, stronger than steel, and more flexible than rubber. She uses them as swords, knives, or even restraints. She's sweet, compassionate, and excitable, and wants nothing more than to follow in her idol's footsteps, Sonic the Hedgehog, to be a hero just like him. I drew Mira when I was at least 14 years old. But first I thought I should let you guys know what she originally was when I first created her, before going into details about Mira as a character. And it's going to be cringe. Originally her name was Nurse, and let's call her Nurse for my initial concept. Nurse is a very well-trained doctor, but that's supposed to be because she was forced into doing so due to her home being under some sort of revolution. She's kind but feisty type of gal, but she's prone to mistakes when enraged. Like Mira, Nurse also idolizes Sonic. She loves his heroism and his big heart, which inspires her to help as many people as she can. Her wings are also sharp, but I didn't include whether or not they're made of graphene. But still, she can cut through anything. Trees, robots, anything. Last but probably the weirdest thing I originally planned for her is that she was originally Silver's love interest. Yeah, you heard that right. She was originally Silver's crush, which Nurse is oblivious to, but would eventually get together. Pretty much the cringiest thing that I ever came up for Nurse. Remember, I was 14. I was cringe. I was awkward. I was a complete dork. But I think the biggest issue for me with Nurse is that she comes off as too much like Blaze at the time. She's hot-headed like Blaze, she has people issues, and just as stubborn, and she covers up Silver's flaws, which is what Play's supposed to do with her dynamic with Silver. Plus, she was an overall poorly written character that comes off as unlikable, which is why I decided to make some changes to her, to make her as interesting as I can. First, the name Nurse isn't cutting for me anymore, so I changed her name to Mira, because I decided to give her healing powers from her hands and fertilizing from her feet, instead of being a well-trained doctor. Her healing powers cures just about any disease, even terminal ones, and heal all sorts of injuries, even grow lost limbs. Not only that, but she can also resurrect the dead, as long as the body isn't too badly damaged, like being burnt in bones or beheaded. And thanks to her power, she's immune to all sorts of diseases and poisons. She can even regrow her own limbs if she lost them. About the fertile feet, she can turn an entire desert into a forest when she has the time and stamina for it, that is. But she doesn't use it that often, other than resurrecting dead crops or speeding them up. Mira has incredibly short wings that are made of graphene, a special material that's thinner than paper, but stronger than steel. I didn't include that when I created Nurse. Another thing I didn't include onto Nurse is having detachable wings. They can be a whole wing that she uses as swords, or in pieces that she can use as knives. Or when not using them as weapons, she can use them as restraints. After all, graphene is more flexible than rubber. And in case she loses a wing, whether it be in a piece or the whole thing, she can regrow them. But despite her powers being best described as miraculous, which is why I name her for, they can also be incredibly lethal. If she touches someone who is already healthy with her power, that person will age up instantly into dust. Same thing with the plants if she tries to fertilize them, making the other reason why Gun will see her away from the world for her own protection. Speaking of Gun, Mira has a new background. She's still from Silver's world, and she's originally from an orphanage from Soliana. It was peaceful, that is, until she was 4. It was snowing like crazy, and all the orphans and staff were incredibly sick with a lethal flu. That's when Mira's power developed. She healed everyone, which Gun eventually found out and took her. They believe her powers could change the world. But Gun thinks, or even believes, that the staff and orphans will be much more safe if they all forget about Mira. So they have their memories ripe, and take Mira into an isolated island from Soliana, where they gave her everything she needs: basic education, health, security. And it's also where she met Silver, which is another topic for another video. Speaking of which, I decided to make Silver and Mira to be friends, and only friends. The reason why I chose them as friends is because I have an idea where Silver and Mira to be adopted by Shadow. Well, the Shadow from their era, that is, which is a whole other topic, which is again for another topic for another video. They're not supposed to be blood related, but a pair of romantic couples that are going to be adoptive siblings sounds pretty gross, and I don't want that. I hate incest. But Silver and Mira always have a brother-sister relationship, so it's whatever. It's kind of like Will Silver and Blaze's relationship. But unlike Blaze, who acts like the big sister to Silver, Mira acts like the younger sister to Silver. Now, Mira is definitely smarter than Silver. But because she grew up in an isolated island, whereas Silver time travels, she comes off as inexperienced and is so naive that she made Silver look wise by comparison. They usually get along in general, and they have each other's backs, but not without some arguments, and in some occasions, bickering. I like to think that when Silver is in his era, he wants to kick back and enjoy the little things of what he has, while Mira wants to be an adventurer, which will make them go separate ways in the future. Anyways, I decided not to give Mira any romance. Not now, not ever. Don't get the wrong idea. Mira is not against being a relationship with a guy. She'll be open, and if the relationship is compatible and goes well, she might be willing to marry him, as long as the guy is just as passionate for adventures as she is, and is also child-free by choice. Yes, Mira is child-free by choice. Motherhood never appealed to her, and is well aware of how painful it is to go through. She also believes that having a baby will mean that she has to give up her dreams of being an adventurer and a hero, and she does not want that. Even then, don't expect Mira to be with anyone, not in the long run, nor in the future. So if you see me drawing Mira with a guy, don't expect it to last long. Personality-wise, while Nurse is supposed to be a sweet and excitable girl with a sometimes fiery personality, I decided to get rid of the fire personality, but keep the excitable personality. She has a big heart and is enthusiastic about everything, particularly when she gets to learn new things. Mira idolizes Sonic and wants to go on adventures and travel to new places just like him. Not only that, but Sonic's heroism has a positive influence on other people, and she wants to be that in her era. She idolizes him so much that she sometimes rambles about it onto Silver, which annoys him. When she isn't rambling about Sonic, Mira is also a major geography enthusiast, and is thorough about it. So thorough that she doesn't need a GPS to go to places. She just knows where it is. She knows them all, down to the small details, even obscure places where even college professors wouldn't know. This made me coming from her being isolated and not being able to go to anywhere else outside of the island where she grew up. Last thing about Mira is that she's a vegetarian because she's a total animal lover. She usually eats vegan food, but she has no problems eating vegetarian. As long as it doesn't have any meat, she'll be eating it. Usually when I draw Sonic characters, I have a hard time, especially with the torsos since I almost never got them right. But even more so with the eyes. But I'm so glad that when I draw Mira, she came out almost exactly as I wanted her to be. The only problem I have with is that she comes up as more shorter than I wanted her to be. She's close to Silver's height, but just an inch shorter. But besides that, I have nothing else to complain. And I like how she came out. I love how she looks. I may be willing to be more experimental with her in the future. But still, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Take care. Bye.